Hello, Future Bestsellers. We are back today. Super excited to do the live stream with you guys. And you will notice, I always go the wrong way, our fabulous and talented Michelle Schusterman is back from her trip and has rejoined us. We're so excited to see you. You look like you got a little tan. Have you been out in the sun at all?
I did spend a lot of time outside in Seattle because the weather was not hellish. It was like in the 70s and sunny and lovely.
You look like you have like all this like great color in your face. Like you look you look well rested actually, which is not, which a little color in your cheeks always does. So, so Michelle, Daisy says, welcome back. Super excited to see you today. So, as we get started, let's all do our introductions. Robert, of course, is here with us as always. I'm going to start with you, Michelle, because we've missed you so much. Tell us a little about you and your awesome channel before we get started writing.
All right. I'm Michelle Schusterman. I write middle grade and young adult novels. My channel is on hiatus, but you can find writing workshops, writing blogs, and traditional publishing chat.
Thank you very much for being here. As always, story detective Robert Jones, tell us a little about you and your fine writing channel.
My fine writing channel is The Story Detective, where I take various forms of storytelling and place them under a Sherlockian lens to break down the craft to make you, the viewer's journey, easier.
Very nice. Very nice. And hey, everybody, I'm Lisa Daly, and on my channel, we talk about how to write a book you're super proud of and get it published. And I am the author of somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 or 16 or maybe 17 romances and nonfiction writing advice books. My old books are a little love advice if you're still looking for that. All right, everybody, let's go ahead and get to, I feel like maybe there we go. Mary says, welcome back, Michelle. Lainey wanted us to know she's here, but she's needing bread. She says, I'm here, but needing bread dough for my mental health, so I can't type. So Lainey's got the sticky fingers today, but she is here with us in spirit. Free range female is here. Super glad to see you. What are you going to be working on today? So I want to know, Michelle, while you were gone on your trip, were you still working the whole time? Yes, yep. That'll happen.
Yeah. Too long of a trip to take off. I wasn't about to take off a month of work.
You know, it's great. I know, right? I used to take off every summer. Like, I just took off every summer. And I can't do that anymore. But it was so nice when I was able to do that. That's my goal, to get back to, like, every summer, lying around drinking Mai Tais. Not that I didn't do a lot of that as well this summer, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So what are you going to be working on today?
A ghostwriting thing. I'm in the outlining process.
Fun. Super excited. How about you, Robert? What are you going to be working on today?
I'm going to be continuing the read through with my own novel today. So,
hey,
very nice. Very, very nice. I am working on creating like little promotional assets for my hockey romance book, Cold Feet, which is going to be out on October 7th. And which is also, I know, it's the opening day for the NHL. So I'm super excited about that. Yay, I know. It's kind of like, So, yeah, because originally when I started the series, which I think was like a year and a half ago, might have been closer to 2 years ago, I had planned to release them a little faster, but then life intervened. So, but I am super excited about that. It's a fake fiance book, which is my favorite romance trope, and I have never written one before, and it was hilarious. Like, it was just not, I hope the book is hilarious, but it was hilarious to write a book where you are so enamored with the trope, because I was like making myself like giddy when I was writing it, like, all the things that you love about certain tropes. I don't know. What is your favorite trope in any genre?
Ooh, well, I just finished reading a horror novel, and while it didn't use this trope, one of my favorite horror tropes is the idea of someone coming back wrong. Like, they died, but then they're back, but there's something a little off about them.
Just a little off, like Pet Sematary.
Yes, exactly.
Right? Love that. Love that. How about you, Robert? What's your favorite trope?
I don't know that I have a favorite trope. There's a lot that I like in various genres, but I'm all for twisting those tropes.
All right. I was just curious. I think some readers, I think a lot of readers love them, and other readers are like, not this again. For me, those like the fake fiance trope is so much fun because it invites a lot of like awkwardness and embarrassment. And I am a sucker for awkwardness and embarrassment in love stories because that's so real, right? Who has not had you've never had a relationship where there wasn't at least one mortifying moment. Although I
Right.
say that, I'm trying to think about mortifying moments with the horror geek. I don't know. I'm trying to think. Do we have a mortifyingly embarrassing moment? I can't remember any. Well, we'll have to see. I don't know if he'll pipe in today or not, but I'll be thinking about that while we're doing our first sprint. Okay, everybody, let us know what you're going to be working on. Okay, so this is funny. Mary says we block those out for ourselves. The Twisted Trope, Robert's next book. That's a great
Yeah.
title, Mary. Nice work on that.
Yeah, it is pretty good.
Very good. All right, let's go ahead and get started with our very first writing sprint. All right. Here we go. And make it okay. So we're going to start with 5 minutes on the clock. This is a great opportunity, if you have not already, to get your documents open, get your drink, or whatever else you need, your lucky charm, whatever you need to write a good book today. And if you have already gotten all that stuff ready, you're more prepared than I am. But you can use this time to do a quick super sprint. All right, everybody, here we go. We're going to get started in 3. Let's sprint. All right, we are back. Let me get rid of this. There we go. How's everybody do on that very first little warm-up sprint? Awesome.
Good.
Fantastic. Great. How about you, Robert? How'd you do?
I did pretty good. I'm just catching up on my notes that I so far didn't write after reading my last scene.
I feel that. I definitely feel that. All right, fantastic. So I think that is it tomorrow that is the big Anthropic settlement court case happening again, like where we're going to see if the judge is going to accept the settlement or not. Fingers crossed that happens in a good way and everybody gets a big fat check. So yeah, it's interesting.
Not as big as the fact check publishers are going to get.
Yeah.
I think they're going to end up keeping more of the
You know how
money
many
than
books you have in there?
me. I don't know how many. I registered all my books. Like I wasn't it Authors Guild sent that link out and said, if you want to be a part of this, but I don't know how many books actually used by Anthropic.
Okay. So there was the big article, I think it was in the Atlantic, where you could look up all your books to see whether or not they had been scraped in the meta scraping. I do want to say a lot of people are sort of worried now because they have an ISBN, but maybe they don't have a copyright and they still have not worked that exact issue out. I think the Authors Guild is obviously pushing for if it has an ISBN and kind of the rules of copyright, like when, whether it's registered or not, it's clearly under your copyright. And I think that's really interesting. What I would say, though, is to check all your copyrights now, because this is just the first of many lawsuits that are going to be happening with AI, especially if this one is successful, which it is about to, this is significantly better. This is a significantly better outcome than I had anticipated for authors.
Oh, same. I'm shocked.
I know. I thought we were going to get like $3 like we did for Google.
Yeah. And I still feel like if I see even a penny, I will be
right, because usually they can just steal for us and nope, some lawyers maybe make some money, but we never really see it. I know. I feel cautiously optimistic. I have a mix of indie published books and traditionally published books, so obviously some of those are like I assume that the publisher's going to take the money or at least take part of it, half of it, whatever it ends up being. But a number of my indie titles were also scraped, and that money all comes to mama. So I'm very interested to see. I'm sure everybody will be doing videos to say like, okay, here's what I thought I was going to get. Here are the $12 I actually got.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It'll really work out that way. I mean, the lawyers and the people who started the class action, they'll make out well. Everybody else will get a division of whatever is left over. And that's usually like, $12 to $27.
Right. I am hoping for the $3,000 per book. That is the official agreement. And yeah, because I've got at least 10 in there. I'm like, yes, I would like a $30,000 payday today. So yeah. Nice. If I get $3,000, I'll be excited.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. But let's just imagine these people have stolen from us. Yes. Our works are important, despite the fact that they said that they weren't while they were simultaneously stealing them. And and I think I think it would be nice if every author ends up getting a $30, $40, $50, $60, $100,000 payday from these people. Once a year for a couple of years, 5 years, 100 years.
So I would say technically people should get a little bit more than those typical settlements.
Oh,
just
heck yeah.
Massive amounts of things that they've stolen. I do know somebody that once got like $1,000 in one of these things. So depending on the amount, you could get a reasonably decent sum.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think that I'm really interested to see what's happening, but I have gotten a lot of questions lately like, well, my publisher is in the UK. How is that going to work? And they haven't said. I don't have any idea how that's going to work. All right, who's ready to get working this morning? I know I am.
Me too. Let's go.
All right, here we go. I know it's always weird, isn't it, Michelle, after you travel, and Robert too. If you like, you're still working when you're traveling, but then when you come home, your body's like, do I go back into my vacation routine?
I
Am I
know.
my home routine? Am I starting like now that you've had everything different for a couple of weeks? So like, is there anything you want to change and make a new habit? Yeah, that kind of stuff. All
And the
right.
change of season too. Now that it's fall, that always gets me in the mood to like. It's like to go
Right.
back to school, go back to work. You know.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I know it's so funny because obviously the start of the new year is January officially, but I always feel the same way. Back to school to me starts like feels like the start of the new year.
Mm.
I mean, it has since I was a kid. So, yeah, anyway. All right, here we go, everybody. Let's go ahead and put our timer up. I've got it on the board already. And so we're going to start with our very first 20-minute writing sprint. Here we go, starting in 3, 2, 1. Let's write. All right, we are back. How did everybody do on that first sprint? Let us know in the chat how you did and what you're working on today. If you have not told us already, I'm dying to know. How'd you guys do? Oh, Michelle, you're still muted. Hold on. All right. How'd you guys do?
Got a chapter summarized.
Yeah, nice. Very nice. How about you, Robert?
Good. Working on some rewrites of the next scene. So little tweaks here and there.
That's good. I know it's kind of the first one. I feel like it's never like super productive because you're kind of getting into the vibe of writing and all of that. Mm-hmm. Ladies here. Hello, ladies. Super glad to see you today. Everybody, I read your text. Well, I know you were listening, so never mind. I read your text earlier about the bread dough. So Lainey's fingers are now clean. She's ready to write, I guess. Okay. So last time we talked, somebody had asked about all the thing. I can't remember if it was a person in the chat or if it was somebody who wrote in, but somebody had asked about all the different things that you want to include on your author website. And I think that is an interesting conversation to have. So when we get back from our next sprint, we'll talk about some website stuff if you guys want to talk about that. Let's see what everybody did. Free range female, 279 words. What? Still working on my debut. Yay! Super proud of you. Great job. Mary, 1,600 words of handwritten stuff I typed with voice, getting my steps in. Nice. That's some nice multitasking there. Oh, that's nice. Avoiding death and taxes tricks my dad taught me. That's kind of a fun title.
How about tricks my dad never taught me?
Right. Oh, I like that. That's funny. Yeah, I think that's fantastic. Love it. I'm dying to see where this book ends up. I think it's going to be absolutely fantastic. Okay. So little vote. You guys let us know if you want to talk about author websites. If not, we can talk about some other exciting and interesting stuff happening in publishing world today. I am at that spot where I'm thinking about my next book, but I just finished the last one. And so typically I like to kind of dive right in, but I have several ideas where I'm like, oh, should I do this? Should I do this? Should I do this? So yeah, I have some like nonfiction stuff due, but I'm kind of still riding the high from cold feet. And so I really am not sure what I'm going to do next. Yeah, that's why I'm doing like promo graphics today. So anyway, Mary says not actually dying, but hopefully I'll finish the book sooner than later. You will. I have total faith. I have total faith in you. So what do you do? I was going to ask, like, how do you decide what to work on next? But in some ways, I already know the answer, I'll bet, for you, Michelle, which is like, how much client work do you have and what are you on deadline for? And that's probably the exact same answer for Robert, because it's also the exact same answer for me. What's the next deadline? I have a couple that are close together, which is why I have a little bit of wiggle room. But yeah.
It's pretty much, it's since last November, I've had pretty steady work, and I have a mini deadline with an art commission to be worked on, but that's not as pressing as an editing job. And, I've been just looking over my novel where I left off. I have to do a read through, and then I'm trying to decide not just the next project, because I already have the next projects lined up because I've been working on this stuff for the last several years. And I have like 3 or 4 books that I figure will go in order back and forth between mystery and some horror stuff. I think that's how I'm going to handle the launch.
Ooh, that's exciting. That's very exciting.
And maybe that's because fall is here and I always start thinking of horror in the fall.
I think a lot of people do. It's the season for it. So it's one of the things that makes it really fun. We visit the Spirit Halloween store. We read a little horror or watch some scary movies. Like, I get that. I totally
And
get that.
that's where I left off before last November in the barrage of work that came in. I had finished a draft of the mystery, and I went through and did a read through on the horror, which I was thinking would be the follow up after a story or two on the Holmes front. And I read through it. I didn't know what to expect. It needs a little bit of meat, but it's actually a better story than I remembered. So I was encouraged to make that the next one, even before this past year.
All right, I get that. So Lainey says, speaking of Spirit Halloween, the one near us didn't open this year. What the heck? I don't think they're like I mean, they often open in different places. So there's probably one around you. It's probably just in another empty storefront. The Horror Geek and I were talking about what a smart business model that is, because they just take these empty retail spaces where the owners are going to be glad to have some money coming in, even if it's a short-term rental. They come in for 3 months, they build it up, they sell almost everything, they take down the rest, and out they go. And I think they're never really stuck with a bunch of long-term leases. Like, it's kind of fascinating how they do that. You could do the same. Like, I'm surprised that we don't have a similar company that does like the winter holidays, like Christmas, Hanukkah, etc. That we don't have like Christmas World that happens right this in the exact same way, because there are so many open storefronts now. Yeah. All right. Let's see. So the question I had asked was, how do you decide what to work on next? And Free Range Female says, I have no idea how to decide. Okay, I have that sometimes. When I wrote scripts, it was just what the group needed. This is the first novel that I've finished. I was just inspired, but that was a long story. I feel that. I get it. I also have like, so I always sort of have like, okay, this is what I have to work on next. But often there's like a little wiggle room, like, okay, I have a couple deadlines that are close together, so which one do I work on first? Do I pick the harder book and try and knock it out? Do I write the one that I'm feeling kind of most inspired, which is actually the one I typically do? Yeah, it's kind of a challenging thing. Dying to meet you, love in assisted living. Okay, that's a thing though. Okay, that's funny. That is a thing though. When my second mother, Chris, went into the nursing home earlier this year, she was totally boy crazy, and there are a lot of new romances that start. Now, I think that's great. Like, romance. I mean, you guys know I'm a former dating and relationships expert. I was on television for 15 years talking about love and dating. And one of the things that's really cool when we fall in love is that it fires all these different areas of our brains are like fireworks, right? And that is good for people. It's also really good for old people. You know, this is good for your health. Well, I'm not going to say it because this is a clean show, but they're really good for your health. That's all I'll say. Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm a romance author. I can say it. Orgasms are great for your health. Okay. Can I just write titles all day instead of doing actual writing? No. Get back to work.
You are really good at titles, Mary.
Very.
I know, but I think that's one of her challenges. She's got like 100 books she could write, all with a slightly different take. She is the queen of the titles. She's pretty awesome with that. All right, so Kaleido says, can you mix omniscient POV with third POV, like a description of the place or the relation with another character? They were very close when they were little, but now they barely talk. I'm trying to wrap my head around. Last week we talked about deep POV, which is sort of similar,
yeah,
in the sense, because it's essentially, yes. I think that feels what this is closer. They were very close and they're a little bit now. They barely talk. Well, why couldn't that be from that particular sentence could be from
That's
the
what I,
character's perspective? Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm having a little, can you give us like another example? Because I'm trying to imagine.
Like
I mean, I
that,
wouldn't
that,
mix it in the same chapter. Is that, go ahead, Michelle, tell me what you're going to say.
well, no, it's what you said. That sentence on its own could be in omniscient or in third.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're so close to one another. I think you could easily tweak one or the other and make it, a single point of view that captures the best of both worlds, maybe.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I think so. I hate to give an answer like this. Theoretically, yes. It depends on how you execute it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. That's, I'm sure, the least helpful thing anyone could say. But yes, thoughts. Okay, here we go. Mary says, I like third close POV better because the lens through which this observation comes through tells us something about the POV character too. That is absolutely the truth. All right. I'm sorry. I have to go back to this. Dad's girlfriend, while planning his birthday, told me, I thought about hiring a stripper, but the only one I can afford lives here. Woo, she's salty. That's funny. That's really funny. You guys weigh in the chat. What do you think about that? It sounds a little bit like deep POV, which is what we talked about last week.
Yeah. We kind of left off the idea that, third person, omniscient, every scene kind of needs a point of view character, no matter which one you're in. You're picking the character that's going to get the most out of the scene. And, it's their emotions that sort of charge it, whether it's omniscient or third person. Yeah. I think the main thing is, I always tell clients so much of writing is about formatting and about how you're going through those scenes with those different points of view, whether it's omniscient or third person. And bring some character into that, because it's always about the character and it's always about their emotions. Ask each scene, what's the strongest emotion there? And, what is the strongest emotion you want the reader to feel from that scene? And then that'll help you choose the character and who's going to play it best and maybe even how to play it.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. So another thing to think about is that writers are constantly reinventing. And so if this feels like a way that you want to tell the story, it might be sort of a more modern third POV or a more modern omniscient POV, depending on kind of which one you lean more heavily on. But try it. Like, just try it. It's either going to really work or it's not going to work. And you'll probably know pretty quickly about whether it does. And maybe you write a couple chapters and get some beta readers to just read it without saying, hey, what do you think about this POV mashup I'm trying here? Just send it to them and see what they say. If they go, oh, this felt weird to me, or, oh, I really love these chapters. I felt really this or really that.
Open a separate document and read the same scene, 2 or even 3 different times and see which one is the strongest.
Yeah, for sure. Mary says, I had one mentor who said, story is not story, character is story. That is true. Amen on Robert's emotion point. Try to get the most bang for your word count. Okay, so Kaleidomode says, I've read scenes starting with the description of the landscape, house to add context, and then it went to an internal monologue, like a camera filming from above and then zooming into the characters.
Yeah.
That's it, right? It's like an establishing shot, but for a book.
It is like a movie, and you can have those scenes where you're broad and then zoom in on whatever is happening. But if you can potentially have the character looking at that landscape or that scene through their emotions, that's what characterizes the character, because every scene, even description, should do more than one job. If it can tell what the scene is, characterize on how that person's feeling about it. You look at a beautiful scene when you're in a happy mood and it looks one way. You have a character looking at it who's going through some trauma, they're going to see it in a different way.
It's so funny that you said that because I'm thinking I was like visualizing this like walking down a New York street when you've just been fired from your job and dumped and everything looks too expensive and hopeless and this. But if you just got the job of your dreams and you and had a meet cute at the donut shop with somebody who looks like a very good possibility, you're going to
Yes.
be walking down the street, the same exact street, but your perspective on it is like, oh, there are rainbows everywhere. The world is wonderful. It's so that how they view that gives such an, as Robert said, such an opportunity to sort of look into the character. I will say that from the description, it does feel to me like you could just do like a third POV, but
Yeah.
do experiment a little bit and think about it. You're welcome. That's what we're here for. I've experimented and written most chapters in third person deep and a few in first person, probably wrong, but felt right. We'll see in the edits. I think this story often tells you. I have tried to expand to different, like I did a dual POV for my last novel, my second to last novel. I went back to first person POV, but not present. I did past it. So I've been kind of messing around like, do I like this? Does this do a better job of telling the story? And I will say I always go back and go, I always go back because I love telling stories first person present. I think that I think for comedy it works, and romance it kind of works better for me, but even though people do it in different POVs all the time and they do it well, but when I'm writing I like see it in my head like a movie, and I experience it better that way, and it feels like the novel has more energy. So, but yeah, try it. I mean, we're creatives. This is our industry. We build it, we change it, we are constantly adapting to what we like, what readers like. So yeah, tell that story the way you want to tell it.
Hmm.
That's the point of view. Nice. Yeah, right. Switching to first helps make your third POV closer. True. Yes, I'm totally in the moment when I'm writing. Absolutely. All right, you guys. That was a fascinating conversation. Thank you so much for that awesome question. Clyde Mode really that was great. Okay. Let's go ahead and do our next 20-minute sprint. Hirsch, let me see if I rewound the timer. Oh, yes, I did. Look at us. We're cooking with gas today. Okay, here we go. Dun, dun, dun. All right, here we go. We're going to get started right this very second. Everybody, 20 minutes on the clock. Let's write like the wind. Here we go. Write like you know which POV you're from today. Starting in 3, 2, 1. All right, we are back. So let me stop that screen, get rid of that. How did everybody do on that last sprint?
Very good.
Fantastic. Awesome. All right, I did as well. I am just having fun. All right, so let's see. We've got. I'm not sure who it is. Somebody's got. Hold on, I'm gonna. Got like somebody's got some kind of a loud, crazy noise that keeps like that feels like, like some. Okay, everybody, tighten up your cables, and I'm not sure what it is. Actually, I'm not sure where it came from.
Huh.
All right, hold on. I think it might be you, Michelle.
Really? I don't
Okay,
hear
hold
it.
on. Okay, we'll wait and we'll
Okay.
wait. We'll see. Yeah, we'll check if it comes back. Okay, so let's see. Collide mode. Yay. Mary says POV is one of the hardest things new writers struggle to learn. Yeah, I think that's true for sure. Very nice. I'm complicating my life so collide mode. I'm complicating my life so much with this trope. I had already written it, but didn't know it had an actual name. Wrong guy first. That's also a good one. Because the whole time you're like, no, you should be with Conrad. You know what I'm talking about, everybody. So speaking of which, oh my gosh, we finally watched the end of The Summer I Turned Pretty. So good. It's hard to do. It can be hard to do a love triangle really well.
Mhm.
And Jenny Han did just a spectacular job.
Very.
Yeah.
We just kind of watched one of those tropes last night in the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society.
I watched that like a million years ago. I don't even remember what it's about. Does it have something to do with like the war?
It's kind of a war type setting. It looks like it's going to be a historical kind of romance, but as it gets into it, it's less about history than, just sharing the story of the characters on the island. And I'm sure the novel went into many more flashbacks where here it was just skipping to one person's story to the next, and kind of an interesting way to put the movie together. But in some ways, it felt like a little something was missing because it's all told rather than shown.
Yeah, yeah. So, the Horror Geek and I watched the I can't remember the name of the flight, the Malaysian Air flight that just disappeared. We watched a Netflix documentary that people are dunking on all over the internet right now.
Oh, really?
This is a story. Yeah. So I remember it when it happened. And I remember feeling just incredible sympathy for those folks, for the families. But I also didn't, and I don't know what was happening in my life at the time, but I did not remember like after the initial event, like really like continuing to follow it, year or two later. So, I mean, I knew that they hadn't found the plane, but other than that, I just never really sort of did like a deep dive. I just felt a lot of sorrow and sympathy for the families. So we watched it, but the whole time the Horror Geek, and this is like a common occurrence, when we watch a documentary that he is very knowledgeable on, he was like, oh no, this is not right. They didn't show this, or what about this other evidence or whatever. And so last night I got like a full on dissertation about all the things that the Netflix documentary got wrong. And I found that, and I found it really interesting because I didn't really know what to think at the end of the Netflix documentary about what had really happened. But then after the Horror Geek and I chit-chatted about it last night, I came away with a much different opinion about what happened. So, which I will not share. Free Range Female says, I keep forgetting to tell you, I binged the Runarounds. Loved it. I'm still like listening to that music. There's something about it that makes me, it makes me really happy because it just reminds me of like when I was at the very beginning, like when I was in college and I was all excited to go out with my life and, write books. And yeah, so Yeah, I don't know. It just like taps into that nostalgia for me. So I highly recommend it if you love a series about bands. And I believe it's coming back. It was really good music, right? Yes, yes.
Well, I'm thinking about that documentary about the flight now, so now you got me.
Well, apparently there are a couple, but like I'd be interested. It was interesting reading or viewing for sure. And this is one of the reasons. Like, okay, so this is weird. My kids, my daughter and I are watching. Well, my kids and I pick different movies. My daughter and I are pretty much exclusively like romantic comedies. We watch a lot, not exclusively, but a lot of that stuff together. But I have essentially let the horror geek curate our viewing since we were together. Initially, it was about him wanting to like introduce me to the horror movies that he loved, which made me actually like horror and consider it a way that I had not previously. But we both really love documentaries. We both really like specific topics in documentaries. And he is just more plugged into kind of what's interesting, like movies and things like that. So often, and also it's kind of nice. I don't know how to decide like what we're gonna watch. He just has already got like a queue of stuff, and he's really good at picking things that we both really like. So anyway, yeah. Free range female says, "Is that documentary new?" Yes, I believe it's pretty new. I think it was maybe in the top 10, and that's probably why people are talking about it. I did find it was interesting. There was a journalist in the beginning who was like really instrumental in telling the story at the very beginning, but by the end of it, you're kind of not sure like what his the horror geek once again with the movie factoids. It's from 2023, but it's a net. It was just trending, wasn't? It's not new. Okay, it's from 2023, but it's out in the world right now. People are watching it. Okay. Anyway, all right, guys. Who feels like doing another sprint? I know I do.
Really.
Me. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Let me get back to our timer. Dun, dun, dun. All right, here. Oh, we're going to talk about websites, and I haven't done the news yet. We'll do that when we come back. All right, here we go. Our next sprint starting in 3, 2, 1. Let's make it happen. All right, we are back. We have got some stuff to get going on today. How'd everybody do on that last sprint?
Good.
Good. All right, there's some kind of interesting news today. Hold on one second. You guys know what's coming, right? It's happening. It's happening right now. I love that thing so much. I'm such a nerd. All right. So we have some really interesting news in publishing right now. The first thing is Audible launched an Ask the Question AI feature for its audiobooks. It just rolled out this feature in beta, lets listeners interrupt a narration like they're reading Pride and Prejudice, and you want to say like, I don't know, who's Mr. Bingley again? You can ask plot, character, or context questions without pausing the playback. You just ask a question and it'll tell you. This is really a big deal for engagement. And it, sort of blurs the line between reading and interactive audio, and certainly could influence how authors think about how they design their audiobooks and the metadata. I don't know. What do you guys think with it? I feel like people will use it to say, does she sleep with Frank? Because if she does, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like they'll use it. Well, what do you guys think?
I think it could be useful, but if you're reading a story to find out about the characters and you're confused, then you have to remind yourself of something maybe. But I don't understand. You're still pausing the story with this information.
Yeah.
And to say that it wouldn't give more information than you already have and maybe give something away, I would be leery to use it if I was in the middle of reading a story.
Yeah. I think the other thing that it might do, okay, so I could totally see like students using this, right? They've been assigned the Scarlet Letter or something. And I can just imagine them turning it on, the audiobook, and then asking all the quiz questions to the AI, which I guess you can do anyway. If you're going to do that, you're going to do it. But I'm not sure how I feel about this. Like, on one way, I could think like if you're creative, you could probably find a really cool way to make it a more immersive experience. But also, I don't know. It might I don't know. It might be super helpful with nonfiction. That feels like something that could be really useful.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just thought it was yeah. What about you, Robert? Anything else on this?
Yeah, I think the Cliff Notes cheat version for tests summarize this book so I don't have to read it.
We're going to talk about that in a second. Yeah, I think there's something interesting. Well, let us know what you guys think on that. There's some other really interesting things that are happening. The most exciting, we've been talking about Spotify really going hard into audiobooks. First, they introduced this program that's a lot like the Audible program, where basically if you're a Spotify member, you get, I think it was 15 hours of audiobooks per month for free. Now, after a recent court ruling impacting the App Store fees, Spotify has re-enabled its in-app audiobook purchases for US users, which means that subscribers can now see the prices, they can buy the audiobooks, they can add their listening hours directly, all of this outside of Apple's ecosystem. So I think that could be a really, really big opportunity. Speaking of opportunities, they are shrinking for voice actors because despite the fact that the U.S. audiobook market grew 13% in 2024, lots of voice actors are still really struggling with low pay. And, there's all this demand for audiobooks, but also we're seeing all of these AI companies come in, or AI that's developed directly through the bookseller like Amazon's or Google Plays, that's sort of eating into that. I'm not sure how, like, on one hand, I think a human narrator is always going to do a better job.
Yeah, none of this surprises me. As there's advancements, digital and technology grows, this happens.
Yeah.
It happened with comic books. And the answer for Disney was, like I said weeks ago, everybody great, making a lot of money working for them now because we can just whip up a comic book out of thin air.
A little bit. A little bit on that. I thought the whole thing was I think it was really interesting. The other thing that feels interesting to me, and I realized that this update is all about audiobooks, which I just realized that all these big stories are about audiobooks. But Amazon is also restructuring its audiobook and podcast divisions right as of August 2025. They're completely reorganizing audiobook and podcast teams. And a lot of people are saying that this is probably in response to what has been happening with Spotify.
Huh.
All right. So Michelle just said, is anybody hearing a lot of odd feedback? I'm going to do that. We're going to Yeah, I hear it. So we're going to just turn everybody off one at a time and see who it is, and we'll see what's going on. Okay, first me. You guys keep talking.
Okay.
All right. Sorry, I wasn't responding to a lot of that because I didn't quite catch all of it.
Yeah, I don't hear any more feedback. I heard it earlier. You sound a little bit echoey. That's about it.
Yeah.
Is it me?
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh no. Okay. I have no idea how to fix that. Hold on. Let's see what we got. Let me look at my settings real quick. I'm sorry. Like, whoa, just at the very end.
I know.
The
ghouls are back.
I know, right? I'm on my regular mic, but I could just do MacBook. Is that better? Is that better?
No.
I don't hear feedback.
Okay, I'll keep it on like that. Hopefully we don't. I hear something that sounds like traffic. That is definitely not coming from my end, but I'm not sure. I know it's good. All right, so Miss Mary says, I think it's Michelle, maybe her fan.
My fans don't really make noise.
I know.
I mean, if I don't hear noise from them.
Yeah, I also have a fan above me. It's constantly running because I live in Florida.
Huh.
And that doesn't typically cause it, but I don't know. Okay. All right. The last thing we were going to talk about today was author websites and what you should have on them. Lainey brought up a really good point that BookBub is now doing author websites. They're very plug and play. Let me show you. There we go. It's kind of cool. It's free to start, and then it looks like it goes to $9.99 a month. But you have a lot of different options, and they have a lot of features. There's another website called Tertulia, which does the same thing. You essentially put in your ASIN number from an Amazon book, and then it like populates using your information from Amazon. It creates kind of a whole website for you. I think if you're a person who's not super tech savvy, especially, or you just want it to be easier, I think that this can be a really, a really great thing to do. It's pretty simple. It looks pretty great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to show you guys the other site too that does something really similar. They, can I do it or not? Let's see. Share screen. They do something really, really similar. There are some limitations to it, as I'm sure there are for the BookBub site, but it feels like the BookBub instant author websites are more robust. So this is Tertulia, which I always want to call something else. I'm not quite sure why. So you just put in your ASIN or your ISBN number of your last book, your Instagram handle, and it just creates a website for you. They're all pretty, they're all pretty clean and simple. Look at that, $7.99 per month, or you can pay. Is that right? $7.99 a month if you're paying yearly, and $9.99 a month if you're paying monthly. So it's about the same. There were some limitations with it. Like I had an author client who did it, and we were trying to set up his newsletter, and adding like DNS records was kind of complicated. We had to have like a person help with that. So that was a little, a little less robust, but for a lot of people, like, I don't think that's going to make that big of a deal. So if you are just looking at starting an author website, that's a pretty inexpensive and clean option. I would since they're the same price, I would probably go with BookBub just because I think that they are a little more robust.
Mhm.
All right. Let's see what we've got. Ooh, Adolescence. What's that all about?
Oh, I heard that was fantastic.
Really good.
It's intense, so I haven't watched it yet. Yeah.
All right, I'll have to put that on the list. Put that on the list. So the only other thing we were talking about with websites is like what to put. That was the original question, was what should you include in your author website? And when I was director of PR at the mid-sized publisher, I had put together like a list of things you should include. But you guys jump in. So I'd say you want to make sure you include buy buttons from all the major retailers. So you can either do this by having all 7 retailers have individual buttons, or you can just do like a books to read link or a Genius link that will take you to a second site, essentially, that that will let that will make all those retailers available. But you want to make sure you're including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple, Books A Million, Kobo, Google Play, and IndieBound. And the reason is, if you're ever going to do like a book signing at a Barnes & Noble, because a lot of times authors will just do like the Amazon link on their site. And if you're going to do a book signing at, let's say, Books A Million or an Indie Store or Barnes & Noble, they're going to look at your website and they're going to not be happy if you only have links to Amazon. So support all of your booksellers. I also like to do a link to bookshop.org, because that way you're supporting indie booksellers as well. You want to make sure that you're asking your website visitors to sign up for your newsletter. You want to keep your events on there at least during launches. If you're going to be somewhere, you want to make sure people know. Add links to your Goodreads profile, your BookBub profile, your social media. Make sure that your newsletter is like the pipeline to your newsletter, and vice versa. And consider selling your books on, like, with a Shopify store connected to your site. That's not a mandatory. That's like an advanced level. But it's something that you maybe want to think about for the future. That's definitely definitely where I see a lot of the bigger authors going right now. Did I miss anything, you guys?
I don't think so.
All right.
But I have a list of things to add to my website. And
I know. Well, I say this, like, if anybody needs, I have spent so much time on the nonfiction website, like the new shop and everything, that my fiction website is so far behind and so desperately needs to be updated. So it's on the massive list. This is the one thing about having an author website, is like, it's like your author photo that everything's new and shiny for the first book, but the longer you get into it, the more you're like, okay, yeah. So anyway, that's it. Before we go, you guys, this is a really fun stream today. I do not think YouTube sent it out because we have a smaller group than usual, but I'm super glad that you guys are all here. Let's say goodbye and do our little outros. I'll start with you this time, Robert. Tell us a little about you and your fine channel before we go.
Okay, my fine channel is and it's where I place various forms of storytelling under a Sherlockian lens and break down the craft with the viewer in hopes of making your craft journey easier. And yes, as we can, the video is scripted, just not filmed, and I don't know if they're going to be filmed because we're going to be packing to move pretty soon. So
oh my gosh, that's a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
You could film all your videos from the road, Robert. You're going to be driving
on the road kind of thing.
You could just have Georgie mount a camera, like they do for the reality shows. Just mount a couple of cameras on the windows or on the dashboard, and you can just talk about writing the whole way to California, right there from the moving van.
We're passing through this state now. You can see
that's right.
Your view mirror. And
this reminds me of how important it is. No, I'm kidding. I I think that could be really, really, really fun. Free range female got 805 words. Yay! That is awesome. Super, super proud of you. Thank you for doing this again. I'll have more questions next time. Anytime. We are always happy to have you. Horror Geek says, I think YouTube was having issues. They weren't tracking real-time views on video. Oh, okay, fantastic. Speaking of YouTube, you guys know the Horror Geek started his second channel, I think 7 weeks ago. He just got monetized. 7 weeks. His new video has like I don't know, yesterday it had like 60,000 views or something, like some insane number. 7 weeks.
I got a notification for his current video earlier with Linnea Quigley. I'll have to watch that later because in my teens I used to think she was like the bomb.
Yes, exactly. I'm just like, I'm alternately impressed and totally jelly. So, but I'm mostly just super proud. So I think that's awesome. All right, you guys, I am Lisa Daly. On my channel, we talk about how to write a book you're super proud of and get it published. I'm sorry for the weird, I'm still hearing like weird, even though I'm not using my regular mic, so it may not have been me, but that's okay. I'm sure we'll figure it out for next time, and so sorry for any inconvenience. We love you, and we will see you next week.
Take care, everybody. Keep those